Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Richest Men in Town podcast. I'm Mike Freeman, and along with my good friend and co-host Tyler Gould, we're excited to welcome you to our little podcast project. Tyler and I are just a couple of middle-aged husbands and dads driven to live our best lives. We want to be better every day, so here we'll be sitting down with great people. Not famous people, but great people that we admire, to learn their secret to living the rich life. Probably not the rich life you're thinking of. Our guests come in humbled and surprised at the invitation and hopefully leave feeling proud and grateful, realizing just how good they really have it. So pull up a chair, stay a while, and raise a glass with us as we toast our guests to the richest men in town.
Now you're looking svelte. For the folks that can't see you, I just want to point out you're looking pretty sleek.
Thank you.
Maybe it's the black track.
I wear. I'm. See, my strategy is just wear black whenever we record. That way,
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like 2 feet from me is a extra large pizza sitting there waiting for me to eat.
I actually believe that. I believe that.
Yeah, you should. Oh man, we've had look, it's been a little bit since you and I had a chance to kind of sit down and just
It's been a
take
little bit.
deep breath.
Usually we do this 4 to 5 weeks. We kick everybody out. The two of us, we kind of make meaning. We got 7 or 8 episodes between the last time you and I got together.
Yeah, and those episodes have been something else, man. It's been a fun 7 or 8 episodes. So I'm glad that we decided to take a breath tonight and kind of catch up on what on those things that stood out to us in those 7 or 8 episodes, man.
Yeah. So like you and I don't drink, or at least I don't drink. I don't know what you do, but I don't drink alcohol, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of like this idea of distill, right? A process of distilling things. And as we listen and have these episodes with these guests, I think certain truths and principles kind of distill, kind of percolate, right? We don't drink coffee either. So I'm just using a bunch of analogies that we can't really relate to.
That all sounds good. I have no idea what you're talking about, but it sounds great.
But here we are.
I agree.
I guess the question would be, how are we striving differently? How are we living differently after talking to the Julies and the Jim Morrisons and the Wade Snars? You know, I think we owe it to them. We always owe it to them to help people jump on train and listen to their stories. We owe it to them to share their stories. But I think we kind of owe it to them to carry them around with us, right?
Yeah, and I hope that's the case. So, here's the thing. I think that if we're and I would say that those that listen to this podcast and are looking forward to talking or hearing from our guests are people that are in general striving to do things a little differently, right? Or be a little better.
Yeah,
you know?
They're strivers.
They're strivers, right? So I think that for me, there's always things that stand out to me, key principles that are taught by our guests. But more than anything, Mike, it's a reminder for me about the direction that I need to head, And sometimes, when I listen to like Julie talk about, just kind of embracing the things that life gives you and trying to find the lesson, it reminds me to kind of step back a little bit and see where I'm headed, try to look down the road a little bit and see if there's a little more clarity there.
Yeah. And I think, so I actually prescribed Julie's episode to my mom.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So I reached out to her. I'm like, okay, mom, mom and Julie's journey are very similar. I said, I know you're not tuning in every week. I get that. You're my mom.
Right.
That kind of breaks my heart, but whatever.
Yeah.
Hey,
look,
prophet in his own land. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But I said, I need you to tune into Julie's. And she actually took me up on it. And she said, Julie and I have walked a very similar road. And there are those lessons that can only be learned by that experience.
Yeah.
And I think that opens up, like, I don't have that walk. I don't necessarily have those same experiences, but I've got experiences.
Yeah.
Right. And I've got those, I do have those things that I am going through And those things are intended, right? Like you're a big fan of that rough stone rolling concept.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. And as we go through life, we're chipping off those rough edges, and we're doing that through experience. Now we get to do it vicariously through amazing, rich lives.
Right.
Right. But I think that's opening up our eyes to like, hey, life is pretty dang rich all around.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, sometimes it's nice to be able to sit down and talk to someone like Wade Snar, right? Or Julie or Corey, and have them talk about their experiences. And maybe, we're not gonna experience those same things, right? It's not going to be the exact same circumstance, but gosh, it's good to listen to and learn from somebody who's done it and can look and say to you, hey, Mike, look, hopefully you don't have to experience this, but let me tell you the lessons that come from this. Right. And I love that.
Can we try a little experiment?
Let's do it.
All right. First time ever. We're going to break some ground here, Tyler Gould.
I love breaking ground.
So
let's do it.
This episode will drop Monday.
Yeah.
The very first person who responds to the Richest Men in Town post on Facebook,
yeah,
or Instagram with the phrase, "Give me the book," is going to receive a copy of Extreme Ownership. If you remember Corey, our boy, he mentioned that book and how that book really taught him a ton of things about leadership, about management, about some things. We're going to do a little Easter egg plant in this episode. The first person to get on Facebook, Richest Men in Town, and drop in, "Give me the book," is going to get a free copy of Extreme Ownership. Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
Now there might be some shipping, because that first response might be Dublin, Ireland, right? We're huge at 2:00 in the morning in Dublin, Ireland.
We're huge. Yeah. Absolutely.
We'll pony up and we'll ship them the book, Extreme Ownership. So
I love it. I think it's a great thing. So,
but you're right. I mean, I think back on some of the conversations that we've had, and there's a lot there that kind of tip of the iceberg. People say 2 hours, man, that's a long time. Not really.
Yeah.
Not really when we look at some of
absolutely.
the people that we've talked to.
And I keep thinking about something that Corey Anglesey said in his episode. He was talking about some of the tough things that were going on in his life, and then he said, but you know what? It was just life, right? It was just life. And I've been thinking about that. I mean, we're all in the thick of it. We're all in the thick of it, and I think that figuring out how to navigate the thick of it is a whole lot easier when you've got a bunch of people that have been there, right? And can say, look, yeah, it may be nasty now, but guess what? It's just life, man. That's life. We're gonna get through it, and I love that. Look, that's the beautiful thing about Richest Men in Town, that we've got a whole entire crew of people that can help navigate the waters. And I think it's a great thing. Yeah.
Can I tell you a cool story? So I'm walking in, I got this small team meeting at work.
Yeah.
I come walking in, and this lady I work with is like, "Man, Mike, I got a bone to pick with you."
Oh yeah. I like it when the meetings start out that way. Right?
I'm like, all right, what happened? She's like, "Here's the deal. I got this, I got that going on. I got, sick kid, husbands at work, dishes full, sink full of dishes." And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to chip away. I'm going to jump in here and I'm going to start working on the dishes. And I'm like, where do I come into this? Right? Where do I,
where do you fit in this equation?
For doing your dishes. And she's like, well, I decided as I was doing dishes, your Facebook post came up with the podcast. And I'm going to listen to your podcast while I'm doing dishes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she says, you get 45 minutes into this thing and I've cried 3 times,
Yeah, I'd
be
upset with you too.
And here she is, something's resonating with her.
Yeah.
right? Something's connecting with her. And like, honestly, I don't know how comfortable people are crying 3 times. You know, it puts us in a weird spot of like, we're, you know, I think of even Julie talking about just being.
Yeah.
And Jim saying the only moment that matters is right here, like right now, the one we got in our hands, you know? And I think that, man, it kind of goes back to that Jimmy Valvano. Like, how great would it be if we could just think, laugh, and be moved to tears every day?
Yeah. No, I think that's a great story. I'm glad I appreciate you sharing that. And I think that's,
I love making people cry. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You know, look, I think that we live in a world that's so busy and so full of distractions, right? And these are good distractions, right? Good things, right? That we don't have the chance to really sit down and have these like long explorations of conversation, you know? And I think, and that, you know, I'm super grateful to every guest that's been on this show, because they've committed a lot of time to share their stories. But man, those stories are powerful. And Mike, we laugh about this a lot, because guests will tell us every time before they come on this show, why me? I have nothing to add, right? And then we sit down and put a mic in front of them, and Julie Gephardt happens, right? And I think that's a big deal. I mean, I think that what a cool thing. People's lives are amazing, and it's a great thing to have that.
Yeah, I think of that conversation with young Derek Anderson, with the police officer friend, right? And I think of I Gotta Marry Laura.
Yeah.
Being tossed out of you know, rolling in vehicles and almost dying.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think that in the end, we're all going to have these pretty remarkable lives, pretty remarkable stories. And I'm super grateful. Now, here's my question though, Tyler, like, what's it doing to you? So it's been 6-7 weeks.
Yeah.
With some guests, you know, and it's been a little bit before we've had an opportunity to kind of sit down and make meaning of things. What can you put a finger on something that maybe you're doing differently as a result of our most recent guests?
I mean, you know, honestly, Mike, for me, it's like every week for me is like this recommitment, you know, of what I want to be, and it's maybe a little more clarity on how I become what I want to be, right? And I honestly, I look at every week after we get done with this with our guests, I think, gosh, I can do a little bit more. And that's the thought that always comes to my mind when I'm done, because sometimes, you know, it's easy to get in this position where you think, gosh, I've got some tough things that I'm dealing with. And then you talk to someone else and you're like, gosh, I appreciate that perspective, you know? So for me, Mike, it's a recommitment every week. When I get to talk to people like Julie Gephardt, who explained to me how she's finding, you know, happiness through all of these things, I think, gosh, I can be more grateful, you know, and I can be recommitted to that. So that's where I'm at. I look at these weeks as recommitments, you know?
Yeah. I'm thinking of our conversation with Wade Snar, and I love the always the first one there to help.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and so I'm trying to embody that, and it's been kind of cool because I ran into somebody and they said, man, this is like the third time I've seen you this week, you and Kelly. And it's always in these volunteer, you know, it's always in these volunteer capacities. And I kind of wanted to tell him, you know, this has been something I've been intentionally trying to do, and is just show up, right? When the bat signal goes up and someone needs help, show up, be the first one. And if you remember that Wade's conversation, it was like, I'm the first one because I put myself in their shoes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I remember I remember, and I'm trying to get better too. I love the idea of that ta-da journal, right?
I do too. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I got a little section now that I'm trying to identify the wins.
Yeah.
You know, each day, just like where do we win today?
You and me both. And I tried to spell ta-da and I just went back to wins. You know what I mean? I didn't know what that looked like, but no, I agree. I'm in the same boat. I've done the same thing. And I think it's funny. I was talking to someone today and they were telling me how, like, when they were growing up, they're our age, you know, and he said when he was growing up, his mom, single mom, when they were driving around and they saw someone that looked like they were in need of something, the mom would pull over and be like, hop in the car. Where do you need to go? And he's like, he was telling me, he's like, gosh, and like today it's a different world, right, than it was then. But he's like, every time I see someone on the street, I'm thinking, what do I have to do to help them out? You know, and I love that mindset. It reminded me in that conversation about Wade Snar, right? I want to be the first one there. Mm-hmm. It reminded me about a lot of our guests who all have that spirit of giving and wanting to be better for themselves, but wanting to make other people better along the way. Julie talked about being a teacher, and that was inspiring. You know, look, mm-hmm. I've gone through these things and I want to pass this on to other people. It's so inspiring, man.
So I got to tell you, I owe Jim Morrison a couple of nickels because there's been a couple of times where I've actually told his Carl So What story.
Oh, I have two. Yeah, look, I owe him money. I told you that was going to be in my
and I'll be like straight up, like I'll be straight up, like, let me tell you something. I hear you, and I don't want to be insensitive to what you're dealing with. Let me tell you a story.
Dude, I've said it in the exact same context. That's so funny, man. But I love it. Yeah.
And the other day, I got to laugh too. The other day, I'm hanging out in the store, and guess who comes on the radio? Doobie Brothers. Roll Back Water.
And were you tapping your foot or what, man?
Oh, totally.
Yeah. See, you're right. You know. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's a classic jam. I should have went to the concert.
Man, I know, man. You should have gone. Well, I'll tell you what, Mike. It's been 7 weeks, and we are, where are we at now? In episode 80 something, 80?
Yeah, I think we're going to be 80.
Yeah, 80. You know, I'm
let's manifest some things, right? Let's manifest. Let's throw some things out there because, like, I'm looking at, we've recently checked in using social media and texting and contacting some previous guests that are really got some exciting things moving in their life. So one of these days we're going to break a new mold.
Yeah.
We'll actually have a series of check-ins, and I'm excited to connect with some of those former guests. And I think that's part of the community, right? Like, hey, this thing is a river that's running through it. And we caught somebody upstream and we were talking to them. Now let's check in with them downstream.
Yeah, 100%. I love that idea of, we share our journeys together, but we share our victories and our wins together, right? And we have some guests that have had some pretty significant things happen in their lives, and we're excited to bring them back on. And look, the other day, you and I were going over the calendar of upcoming guests, and I'm just excited of what we have that'll be pushing us over 100, Mike. That's a crazy thing, right? We're looking at that. It's coming up pretty quick. So,
and these guys, but these men and women are written on our hearts, and they were perfect strangers.
Perfect strangers. And
you could run across Sam Borquez and Target down there. You wouldn't even know.
But I tell you what, if he called me tomorrow, I'd do whatever I could to help him out.
Exactly.
That's a beautiful thing, right?
Exactly.
So,
yeah. Well, I'm excited to see what is coming, and who knows where we're going, right? Who knows where this will take us? I mean, it's 100 episodes, in a couple months we'll hit that, and and then we got 2022 coming at us, and of course, it's our hero George Bailey. That season's coming up on us. I'm already hitting the eggnog. I don't know about you, but That's maybe why I'm stuck at 237. It's hard to lose weight when you're throwing that stuff.
Yeah, that's true, man. I think that.
But you know what? I did have a George Bailey moment the other day.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
So I got a hoopty of a car, right? Hoopty. We'll have to refer to that in the show notes. Some of our audience is young and may not know that reference.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
Yeah. And so my car likes to ding the red engine light of death when it's idling at stoplights. I've had it checked out. The mechanic said something like, I replaced, paid $300, replaced the sensor. It still dings. And they said, here's the thing, we can replace some things, but it'll be $1,200. And it's like a 50-50 chance that it'll fix it. So the current plan is drive the thing into the ground. And, in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's following Dave Ramsey, avoid the car payment and just drive the thing into the ground and then we'll figure it out. So I don't know what I will do when it is in the ground, but there it is. So, man, George Bailey, when he's driving that old car and Hee Haw Sam comes up and he's driving the fancy car and you're thinking, it'd be kind of nice to get a fancy car. And I kind of walked in with that attitude. I didn't take some advice that our guests have given us of like, chill in the driveway a little bit before you bring that stuff home. And I walked in and my wife was like, hey, how's it going? And I'm like, I just started in on my
car, man.
Yeah, I started on how bad I've got it, right? And I just want a car that doesn't ding. Is that too much to ask, right? Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And the house went quiet and was like, all right, Dad's in a mood.
You know what, man? But I would say, it's easy to get there. That's for dang sure. But
it's like when that newel post comes off in his hand, right? And he's got that new perspective and he kisses it.
Yeah.
One of these days, I'll miss that old car. I don't know. Maybe.
At least you'll tell stories about it, right?
Well, yeah, but George Bailey season's coming up, and
I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, I think it'll be good.
We got a lot of good things coming. I'm excited. So
we got Turkey Bowl.
We got Turkey Bowl around the corner, and then a couple days of rehab after that, right? To try to work out the soreness. But I'm excited for our guests to listen to what we have upcoming, because we've got some great people scheduled to be on this show with us, and I'm fired up, Mike. I'm grateful for those that have come before up to almost episode 80. I'm grateful for you for all the work that you do, and I'm looking forward, man. I'm fired up for what's coming up on RMIT.
Yeah, hey, and a quick shout out. I know in the windshield coming at us is Veterans Day. And we've had some veterans on the program. Dick Moody, right? Support our troops.
Absolutely.
Send $17, sends a care package overseas. And if we can do something, to all of our guests that have served this country, thank you for your service. To Veterans Day. That's a special time. And I want to make sure that people understand how grateful I am for this country. Right. I think the late great Colin Powell, in his speech, we don't get political, but in a speech to Howard University said that our country's faults are our opportunities.
Yeah.
Right. And so we can pick and point a lot of faults, and it's still an amazing time to be alive. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to strive with you, right? Sit down with some great people, figure out how we can fix and how we can at least address our corner of the world. And really, in the end, that's what we got.
That's what we got, man. I love it. Well said.
It's our corner. It's our home. It's our coworkers. It's our church congregations. It's our little league teams. It's wherever we're at striving. Our field hockey teams.
That's right.
Whatever it is. And so to our veterans, we tip our caps to you and we raise a glass. Truly rich people. Thank you for your service.
I love it. I'm excited, Mike. Let's until next week, we'll come back strong with our next guest, and we're gonna have pick up right where we left off, right?
Right. 3, 2, 1, quesadilla.
That's right. Enjoy, my friend.
All right, man.
All right, take care.
You too.
Here, Ernie, a toast. To my big brother, George, the richest man in town.